I love school. You need to come to my school where we just have fun. We just, in class, I just press a button and all lollies fall on the kids, and we just watch movies and we pat ponies and, oh, it's just great. In my head anyway, that's what happens. All right, let's move on. Rock and roll. My week was a 10 out of 10. No, actually wrong, maybe 10.4. Having Monday, Thursday off always helps the score. Alrighty, let's have a look at Mira's work from the second group. Outstanding homework. She's done a really great job in separating the various sentences. So we have action. Sitting back and blowing the dust off the picture, Harry seemed mesmerised by it. Description. Its rusty corners and yellowing paper seemed to match Harry's shirt, frayed on the edges and threadbare in the middle. Thought feeling. A rush of memories spilled into his head. The crowing laughter of James, the soft voice of his mother, blurring his sight and filling his mind. Story. 11 whole years without the truth, and then being suddenly confronted with it seemed to knock the air out of him. Atmosphere. The humid air around him seemed to suck at his warm skin as he called for Hermione and Ron. Excellent. There'll be one piece of advice that I will give her that I want to tell you all as well. Pardon me. To make your writing sound more active, biggies, you need to get this. Don't use seemed. Okay? Never use seemed. The humid air around him seemed to suck at his warm skin. Whereas if you remove it and say, the humid air around him sucked at his warm skin, it just makes it sound more powerful because it's active. We don't want seemed. And interestingly enough, look at this. The picture, he seemed mesmerised by it. The paper seemed to match his shirt. It seemed to knock the air out of him. It seemed to suck at his warm skin. For seemed. So she has a habit of using it seemed, it seemed, it seemed. Take it out and watch the difference without it. So, the yellowing paper matched Harry's shirt. The memories filled his mind. Where's my next one? Here. 11 years without the truth, suddenly confronted with it, knocked the air out of him. It sounds so much more powerful rather than seemed. Okay?
And then also
just a little tip. All right, moving on. This week's homework. Oh, by the way, for last week's homework, who found it easier after I gave an explanation of how it can be done? Did anyone find it easier? 1, 2.5, 3, 4 people. All right, well, we'll see when Lorena and Mr. P mark this week's homework. We'll see whether the explanation helped or not. But we had a query from an observant student who said, how can you use many-most in creative writing? Well, the interesting thing is, the many-most technique comes from creative writing. I adapted it to suit persuasive, but it actually is creative. I'm going to show you how. So, people prefer summer. You're crazy! You can't do creative writing out of people prefer summer. That is purely a persuasive technique, like this. Many people enjoy the feeling of rugging up in winter, though most prefer the warmth of summer. Duh, Mr. C, you can't make that creative. Well, watch. Let's see the creative version, where this sentence was born. Many people of this city, clad, that means dressed, in sombre grey and ebony woolen attire, that means their clothes, enjoy the crispness of winter mornings, though most prefer the shedding, that's getting rid of the thick, obtrusive layers, that's their clothing, to frolic and play along the bathed shores and brimming streets of the Esplanade in Havianas and fedoras. Havianas are thongs, fedoras are these fancy hats that I wish I had one. Just might get one for my birthday, girls. So this is how you would do it in a creative story. But in the homework, we then have to take one of these and continue the creative writing. Should I pick the persuasive or should I pick the creative?
Creative.
Yes, that man. Did you have NutriBrains for breakfast? I think you did, because that's a clever answer. All right. So following on from this about the beach, etc., Mr. C came up with 3 sentence starters to create this. I used remembering with fondness, without hesitating, if only. Let's have a look. Because again, this is what you have to do for homework this week. Okay. I had a student say to me this week, "See, how come you're so creative?" And you know what? Well, let's have a look. I want you to think, remembering with fondness. So I'm introducing a female character, and I'm introducing a young boy of 15 years old. Okay? Following on from that previous passage, this one. Many people in their clothes, their greys and blacks, all the woolen stuff like the winter mornings, but most love to go to the beach and play in their thongs and their fancy hats, which I'll probably get for my birthday. So, I want you to think, how can you use these 3 sentences, remembering with fondness, without hesitating, if only? So, I was talking to the student about creativity and the fact that I'm just constantly absorbed in creativity. The more you do something, the better you become at it, okay? I don't have extra special gifts than anyone in this room. In fact, I was a C student. I had some talent, spelling. I was very good at spelling. But it's the fact that I practice all the time that I just get better at it. And I'm always thinking, well, how can I get you guys to practice more? And this week, Scribble Inc. will be unveiling a brand new, funky thing that I can't reveal just yet because it's so secret, I'll probably get arrested. But watch what I do with these 3 sentence starts. Remembering with fondness the last summer, there's my link, when she met Raphael, dressed in pastel blue singlet and nothing on his feet. He struck her as an innocent 15-year-old looking to earn a few coins for a meal. Without hesitating, she threw into his guitar case a note of small value, like a $2 note, at which, wide-eyed, he grinned in appreciation. If only she knew what the money was really for, she would have reconsidered. Okay, so that's what you're doing for your homework this week. Okay, many, most, and then continuing one of your sentences with 3 of those. Hands up out of 5, your understanding of what I've just explained. 5 being, yep, I know exactly what I have to do. 10, good man. Did you have NutriBrains at 4:50 this morning? No. Hands up, girls, how much you understand that? Oh, okay, 5s, that's good. I didn't see your hand, buddy. 8 out of 5, that's excellent. All right. Today, we have, there's Raphael there. He's not wearing a fedora, he's definitely got no Havianas on, and he's playing soccer. But we need to do a quadruple verb, triple D, M-D, 4 memories, A and he, she. Okay, we keep practicing these sentences. Here's why. I find that in the homework and in our lessons, students can produce a quadruple verb. That's great. That's the start. But putting it in a paragraph with some other sentences so that it all makes sense together, that's a different level of analytical thinking. That's why we're concentrating right now this term on putting these professional techniques into paragraphs, okay? Important. And next week we swap again back to persuasive, where we will look at the same things. We'll look at our professional persuasive paragraph, okay? All right, so I was going to demonstrate this for you again, but I've already done that twice. So here's what we're going to do. With your leader, I want you to come up with the quadruple verb, perhaps the triple descriptor, and you might get onto the M-dash, but by then I want to come back, right? And I will have a go, we will have a go at one together. Now, you fasties, you might get the whole 4 done. Let's allocate, say, 10 minutes, okay? 10 minutes to having a go at least the first 2 sentences. Quality writing, quadruple verb, followed by the triple descriptor about Raphael. Now, he doesn't have to be kicking the ball on the beach. This is just a stimulus. Remember, this is just to get your mind thinking about what you're writing at. You don't have to specifically write, oh yes, he's kicking a ball, the goals are behind him, you don't have to do that. Raphael could be on the street with his guitar. He could be at the ice cream stand spending one of the coins that somebody threw in the case. Totally up to you and your creativity, what you want to create. Okay, so 10 minutes, then we'll come back together and we'll have a go at this. Let's go. Okay, let's have a look at what the girls and I came up with. We tried to stick to those we did stick to these exact sentences, but you know what? You can mix the order. If you feel in your story you don't want the memories yet because you want to bring that later, you could do that. This is just a guide, but we want to show you professional writing, and once you master it, it's up to you to manipulate it however you like. So let's have a look at what we came up with over here with the girls. Girls, you tell me if I make a mistake. Taking a sip of water, Raphael tuned his guitar, smiled. Oh, sorry, I'll get it. Right, you happy with that? This one?
Yeah.
Smiled at the tourists and plucked the first few notes of, is this right? Etude? Etude, I beg your pardon. All these violinists in the room. Etude. He looked like a ragged servant with his dirty, flea-ridden, ruffled shirt, whole speckled trousers, and blistered bare feet. Deep inside him, a grumble sounded as, we just pinched this one straight off the board, as the early morning smells the aroma of the hot potato vendor. Now that could be taken in a few ways. The spiciness of sizzling sausages caused his mouth to water. Ooh. A slideshow of memories repeated themselves. The fire in his home, the yelling of his parents, the choking smoke, and the bad news at the hospital. That's as far as we got.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good, girls. Well done. So the point is, when we use professional sentences, it makes our writing come alive like superstars, but they take practice. Because if you muck up the punctuation, or you get the phrasing out of order, or you put your phrases are too long, there are ways you can muck them up. So that's why we keep practicing and practicing and practicing so we can get it. Let's move on to our small words. Due to the increase in inclement weather, which had gotten worse over the past 3 days, the scouting camp, which was to be held on the weekend, was cancelled. The children were not upset, as the volcano threatened to erupt. Now, with the verb start, I'll give you a little bit of a clue. Increasing in intensity over the past 3 days. What was getting worse? That's what that means, getting worse, increasing in intensity. And maybe you might use the word cancellation. Not sure. See how you go. It's just a little clue. Let's take a few minutes to do our small words and some of the warm-up. So, what was increasing in intensity? What was getting worse?
The weather.
Okay. Increasing in intensity over the past 3 days, the inclement weather. Now, what did the weather do? The weather made them cancel the scouting camp, right? So that's why I put the clue, maybe if you wanted to use cancellation. So the weather, cancellation. The weather made the cancellation, doesn't sound right. The weather caused the cancellation, and perhaps even better, the inclement weather forced the cancellation. Forced the cancellation of the scouting camp this weekend. Now, the children were excited for one of two reasons. Either that the volcano was erupting, or because the volcano was erupting. Or no, sorry, they're either excited or they're not excited. It says they weren't upset. They weren't upset because the volcano was erupting, threatened to erupt, or because the camp got cancelled. Hands up if you would be excited to leave the scouting camp because the volcano is erupting. You're excited to go home. Who's excited?
Those are unfit people.
Who's excited that you're out there and it's about to erupt? Yeah, everyone else. Okay. So, how about the children felt excited as the volcano threatened to erupt? What I don't like, I just quickly thought of that, and now I would edit. I don't like the children felt excited. I want something like, that moves my reader away from the action. So with excitement, the children something or other, let's try that. With excitement instead. With excitement, the children beamed as the volcano threatened. And that's for you second bunch of guys who are happy that the volcano is actually going to erupt and create death in your scouting camp group. Mr. P, anything?
No, we're good.
Whoa!
Yeah, we're really pleased with the homework from the weekend from
Yep.
last week. So
Excellent.
keep it going, guys. Make sure those words are useful, they're new.
Yep.
Overall, we were really pleased.
Seeing some good effort?
Make sure you're reading your feedback. Absolutely some good effort.
All right.
Remember, the more you do, the more we'll mark. No
Yep.
worries about that.
Awesome, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Happy scribbling.
Pass this down.
All right, leave your books, kids.